Hey, what's up, everyone, and good morning. Welcome back to another episode of Good Morning Soul. And when I made this series, I talked about some of the ideas I had. I spoke about, finally being able to have a type of content where I could, do reviews for, short films and stuff like that. And one of the other things I want to do was talk about songs I really liked, and another idea that I've always wanted to do kind of like character spotlights, a series where basically I would just do quick videos covering some of my most favorite characters and kind of just breaking it down psychologically. Why do I like this character? What does this character do in the series that's so interesting? Why can I take this character out of context and kind of just make my own video about them? And I thought, since this is the pilot episode for this series, and who better than to do one of my favorite characters as the first episode of this series? And I'm talking about ya boy, the 𝘚𝘵𝘊𝘍𝘢𝘳𝘢𝘺. I'm talking about Sly Cooper. And Sly Cooper was kind of like my Mario growing up. He was kind of like my mascot character. He was my Sonic the Hedgehog to a lot of people. I remember a lot of people back then were probably playing mascot platformer games, Some people it's Jak and Daxter, some people it's Crash Bandicoot, Spyro, Klonoa. There's a lot of these guys, right? And the only franchise that really stuck with me and I played all the way through, at least I played the first game all the way through, was Sly Cooper. And right off the bat, I should say, I haven't played the latest Sly Cooper game, Thieves in Time. So I can't really comment on his most recent adaptation or the movie that's going to be released soon. And I know he's also made cameos in PlayStation Heroes, and I know he was in PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale. I did play that, but that's obviously... I might as well not even mention that, because it's how much character are we gonna get off of a fighting rumble game, where a not even that good fighting rumble game, sorry to throw shade at All-Stars Battle Royale. But Sly Cooper, as a character, and by the way, if you haven't played the Sly Cooper games, you are free to click off this video. I'm gonna be talking spoilers. I'm gonna be talking to a very specific community here, so you're free to leave if I'm alienating you in any way. But Sly Cooper, he, as a character growing up, I enjoyed because he was so charismatic for what little he had. Right when you start this game, you understand, okay, this guy is a thief. He grew up in an orphanage home. He's got two best buddies. He's living life on the road, living a really fucking cool life where he just goes to these amazing cities, just drives to amazing cities, has these heist jobs, and just kind of lives off that. How many that's such a cliche heist thing to do. All the characters in heist movies, it's what is their profession? They go on heists, and then they just live life, spend that money, maybe do another heist, and maybe go to prison for a little bit, get out. That's always the heist character, and Sly Cooper has that down. And his relationships with other characters, like Bentley and Murray, they didn't just meet up. Like Ratchet and Clank, they just kind of met up and became friends. Jak and Daxter, it doesn't go that much back into their friendship. But Sly Cooper, you understand these characters have known each other since childhood. They grew up together. They might as well just be brothers who are all from these different backgrounds. One's a smart turtle, one's a dumbass hippo, and one's a sly, 𝘚𝘵𝘊𝘍𝘢𝘳𝘢𝘺. And that's not to even go into his family history. Right off the bat, there's another super interesting thing about him. He's from this long lineage of other heisters and thieves, and you as the game progresses, you not only like learn the backstory, you get glimpses of your ancestors, you learn your ancestors' moves. You are like fulfilling like your family name, and you're doing that by becoming the greatest thief ever. You are like learning all of these different moves that come from like all these different generations, and that's all being like put on Sly Cooper. And let's just talk about his attitude, right? Like, he's such a fucking, like, he's always, like, if his expression was to be described, it would be, like, kind of happy-go-lucky, kind of sarcastic, kind of fuckboy, and kind of, like, he likes to, like, silver tongue his way through a lot of conversations. And a great example of this, you know, is Carmelita, the love interest and romance for Sly Cooper. And it's a very weird romance. So basically, Carmelita is like the cop behind all of Sly Cooper. I don't know why she's going like across the world like he is. She just happens to show up. But she's obviously like obsessed with catching him. Like, that's like the very first statement we understand about her. And this obsession, like, you ever like psychologically understand someone to the point, like, even if you didn't like them before, like, you appreciate them, kind of? Like, people who do like autobiographies, or not, well, you know, if someone writes a book about Hitler and they know all these facts, they know the ins and outs of these people, right? When people do a documentary of these people, they kind of learn the person behind the story, and they understand these people so well that it's like they don't like them, but they kind of like appreciate them. Like, I watched a YouTube series called No Small Parts, where it's like mini documentaries about actors, and one of the actors described was like really like this terrible person, but it's like after you learn his life, it's like, okay, this is why this person is the way they are. I understand them, and even though, you know, they're awful, like, there's some kind of empathy there. And I think that happened to Carmelita to the point where she became so obsessed with Sly Cooper that it's like, okay, after this guy has now saved my life, it's like, where do my feelings go? And then, you know, he sneaks that kiss at the end of Sly Cooper 1. And then she just gets all bubbly, and then she's like, oh shit, he just fucking handcuffed me to this fucking mountain or whatever, and I'm stuck here. Like, the whole time Sly Cooper was playing her, but at the same time, you know that there's like some kind of like weird romantic tension between those two. They have an amazing relationship. And Sly Cooper's design is like classic to me. Just looking at this guy, just looking at him, you know, he's like a thief. He's got this stupid hat on. He's got his cane. I forget the name. There's like a better word for what it is other than a cane. But, you know, based off of raccoon. Very platformer mascot look he's got going on. But at the same time, the way he moves, the way, like, his tail flicks back and forth as you run, like, all of that just adds this charm to him. And he has such great conversations with, like, bosses. Like, you'll enter a boss battle, you'll, like, instantly kind of just, like, throw shade at whoever you're about to fight. And it's like he's just going through a speed run of the game. Like, that's how little he cares sometimes. And like how slick and fast he moves, it's like if you're fucking mastering these games and you're like shit talking all the bosses, it's like that's kind of like what your reaction is at that point. And in the later games, obviously you get to be more characters in the later games, but he's always developing cool relationships with everyone on the team. Even old characters who become from old bad guy bosses to on your team, develops cool relationships with them. And, you know, he's also like a smart dude. Like, a lot of the ways you're winning is you're out, I don't want to say outsmarting them, but you're out winning them. You're being like an Eddie Guerrero type character where you're lying, cheating, and stealing, and you just know your way around to the point where you're not afraid. You're always gonna be on top. Like, it's a confidence, and that's not to say Sly Cooper doesn't fuck up. Like, he fucks up, but he takes it like any other. Like, he takes it as is, loss, gotta bounce back. Always happy, always confident. And for a mascot character, it's like, what more do you want than that? And that's not to mention like how easy his narrative is to get into. The plot of Sly Cooper 1 is to find every page of the Thievius Raccoonus, your family lineage that was stolen to you by these 5 bosses, right? And you know, your whole life has been leading up to this. And once you complete it, it's like, okay, now Sly Cooper can be like this heist guy again. And throughout the second game, it's kind of like, oh, you're destroying your ultimate bad guy again. And then the third game, you know, that's a whole new can of worms, but you're unlocking the Cooper Vault. So it's really easy just to, like, not only are the heists you doing, like, fucking awesome and there are these amazing big missions, but it all comes, like, it's all concise. You're all going on this mission for whatever Sly Cooper is trying to achieve. And it's all, like, a big mission. And sure, like, at some point it's like, man, is this even worth it? But by the end of the game, you know, it was a fun ride the whole time. And, like, I didn't even go into, like, Sly Cooper's, like, cool abilities. Like, he can paraglide, like, smoke grenades. You know, he can just sneak up behind anyone, pickpocket them, then just slam them on the ground. He uses his cane to flip up guys who are, like, twice his size and then just bury them into the concrete. Like, just, like, you know this guy, like, isn't strong or anything. He doesn't strong arm anyone. But, like, well, I know this cane works for something, and he knows, like, what better weapon than this, like, cane that can not only use, like, it can be used for the greatest platforming segments ever. It can be used to help climb. It can be used to do so many things. And on top of that, like, if someone tried to, like, fight him with a sword, like, he's gonna deflect with his cane and then use your momentum. He's gonna fuck with you so badly that you're gonna beat yourself. That's the type of, like, guy Sly Cooper is. And, you know, at the end of the day, like, I would love, like, a Sly Cooper TV show where it's like, let's do a heist in an episode, like, and, you know, obviously have some kind of overarching plot, but do a heist in an episode. You know, at the end of the day, they're all just, like, kind of like Cowboy Bebop style, where it's like, oh, we're just back at the ship chilling, and, you know, the day-to-day status quota hasn't changed. You know, Sly Cooper, like, usually, like, I feel like he, like, if he hasn't just had, like, a big breakthrough, like, it's not a problem. Like, he can get $1 million whenever he wants. Like, he's not sweating anything financially or anything like that. But at the same time, like, he's not gonna spend that money. You know, he lives in a fucking car with 2 other dudes, and, like, the best place he can hope for is his little hideouts. You know, very interesting life though. Like, whereas, like, Jak and Daxter, it's like, I don't even know what Jak does whenever, like, I'm not playing the game, right? He just keeps, like, all that does in Jak and Daxter 1, you just fucking, you do everything. Whereas Sly Cooper, it's like, okay, these cutscenes in between tell me that this guy is going to Bollywood and going across the planet, having these amazing times. Like, that's so much more interesting. And, like, he can fit the style so perfectly in all of these locations. Like, you'll be in Paris, and Sly Cooper will dress up, like, in a tuxedo. He'll adapt to the environment. He's such a cool character. I love Sly Cooper. And he, for the longest time, if I had to choose my favorite video game character now, it would be Commander Shepard of the Mass Effect series. But for a long time, I was dead set on Sly Cooper being my favorite video game character. Kind of just because he was my mascot, kind of just because he was, like, my childhood guy, but he was the dopest guy I could think of. So, of course, he would be my number one. And I know that this is going to be a good series talking about these characters because I already threw 15 minutes talking about Sly Cooper, and that was right off of the back of my head. So I can only imagine what other characters we're going to be talking about in this series. So that is my video on Sly Cooper. That is my tribute video to Sly Cooper. I hope you guys got some out of that. I do think looking at these characters psychologically adds something to them. I don't know. But anyway, if you guys have any thoughts down below, if any Sly Cooper fans want to talk Sly Cooper down below, please do so. I would love to get in that conversation. But until tomorrow, I'll see you guys with another episode. And with that, I leave you.